Welcome back to the severe weather live stream. Today we are under a moderate risk for the entirety of the National Weather Service Chicago area. That is what this red area is. That is all moderate risk, level 4 out of 5. Let's look over what the threats are before getting into exact timing. Overall, our tornado threat is relatively high, generally at Davenport and east of it. That is a 15% conditional intensity 2, meaning some strong to potentially violent tornadoes are possible within that area. The 15% zone does stall off right as it reaches O'Hare Airport, and then it moves to that 10%. Those are CIG1, means that there are some stronger tornadoes. However, just because of how close these two are, I think that the risk is overall just going to be the same thing for that tornado threat. Looking at our wind threat. Wind is another main thing. This is driven by our discrete supercells that you will see on the map in a couple minutes. Looking at our wind, 60% conditional intensity 1. In the past, conditional intensity would have meant, well, not conditional intensity, before conditional intensity exists, a 60% wind risk would have resulted in the issuance of a high risk. That is not good. Either way, though, cancel all outdoor events. If you have an outdoor event, just don't go to it. It's not worth the risk, and you will see why when those storms arrive on our maps. Hail is overall relatively low. I also wanted to show the NATOcast viewer. This is our 6 a.m. forecast. You can see that tornado threat is about 10% for Chicago. The wind threat is 60. Hail is also lower. But moving into this one, we can't see the wind or hail threat, but we can see that that tornado risk has significantly increased on this. Tragedy has struck, yes. There were some areas struck by tornadoes yesterday. A Culver's barn was destroyed. Hopefully today underperforms. Hopefully, however, as of right now, I'm going to show it, we do have these storms that are moving through. Some areas could get hit. They don't actually look like this on radar. On radar, they look... That's a tornado watch. On radar, they look... Oh, I can't view that. They look more like this. So generally, you're going to get hit with a little bit. That's not expected to be severe, though. Destroyed in Wisconsin, that's where the Culver's barn was. Looking at our sounding at Chicago, you can see it's severe storms when those storms arrive. Look at the bottom. As those storms continue, they really don't knock out any instability in Chicago, eventually reaching tornado threat. MCS lifting north. Will the warm sector move north? I think it has stalled. We can pull up the maps, though, to check. The main concern for severe weather, this model does show, you can see these discrete supercells. Those are all discrete cells tearing through. In general, each variation, this is actually the 12Z. I want to look at the latest one. So this only shows up to 5 hours in advance. I'm going to go back one. Those storms will go through around 7. Between 6 and 7. Just like yesterday initially anticipated. The model does project, as you can see, possible hazard type of tornado. Again, this significant severe number, if you joined us for the stream yesterday, you know that above 10,000 means severe, above 20,000 means significant severe. The higher up it goes, the greater the chance of a worse severe storm. That supercell number is very high. That's kind of only what you see Chicago with strong tornadoes. Even so, this is a kind of like a box and whiskers plot, except it's vertical. You can see that it has reached the median for EF4 plus for the significant tornado parameter, which is another very concerning thing. This hodograph, there's a little bit of choking, but again, we don't think that's going to do much. Princeton was another area under that risk. I like to default to Princeton because it's in between and a little further south. That's going to hit around 5 p.m. with the sounding showing, again, tornado. Exceptionally high numbers in Princeton, higher than in Chicago, but that is also more closer. Chicago's closer to the lake compared to Princeton. You can see that significant severe number is even higher than before. The significant tornado numbers are all very high. This one, it's just broken it. So let's hope that it doesn't form, although these current models do suggest that, and it thinks that the MCS will likely not. Probably a PDS watch. Yes, likely I would say that there will be a PDS watch. 2023 was, I'm assuming you're referring to March 31st. That was an interesting one. In the central portion over here, that was a PDS because that's where the high risk was. But for Chicago and even in southern Wisconsin, I was in southern Wisconsin then, it was just a standard tornado. But I do think a PDS tornado watch is definitely on the table with them. Yeah, March 31st was a big one. That's when that one was. April 4th, I vaguely remember. I remember if that was PDS, but definitely, yes, March 31st. Rufus model also loves to support the line of storms. These are still probably going to produce several tornadoes as they move through. You can see tornado, lower numbers with Rufus though, so it's a little less strong in Chicago with its tornado predictions, but it's still being improved upon. Princeton, again, our sounding does point to a particularly dangerous situation. Tornado down in Princeton. Of course, we can't always confirm that these will in fact form. It's just the risk level and then it moves out. So definitely probably a PDS tornado watch will go out in the next couple of hours. The storms that do move through, like I said earlier, if you're just joining us, those storms that will move through now are not going to be anything of major concern. You can see them on radar pushing mostly north. Here is from the National Weather Service Chicago. I start with them because aside from my biggest population point being in that area, it's also just overall where the most significant risk is. It does show that 4 to 8 is a little, we don't know if it's going to hit, but we do know that after 7 it will hit. Threat for strong tornadoes between 4 and 8 again. Threat for strong EF2 plus tornadoes, especially in this dark red area, along where that remnant surface boundary from these new severe storms, not severe, from those storms that are moving through, will leave. They were severe earlier in the day near Davenport. This threat has shifted a bit further south, but it still includes pretty much all of northern Illinois. Today doesn't perform. No one will ever take, I agree. Moderate hasn't lived up to the name. There was, in Kankakee, there was an EF3 earlier in March. I covered that with a briefing. It was an EF3, but I don't think it needed a moderate. I think it could have performed fine with an enhanced risk, because those still warn that there's a chance. But yeah, currently we do think that this will perform better. Hazard breakdown today. This was from 4:16 a.m. Not many adjustments from them though. Tornado 3 out of 5. Damaging winds 60 to 80. Damaging hail 2 out of 5. Some greater than 2 inches in diameter. Flash flooding is the other thing that I did want to look at. Let's model outlook. Our excessive rainfall today, much of the area under that same severe risk is under that slight 2 out of 4 risk for flash flooding. So be prepared to at least experience a bit of flooding. Now we will go to the National Weather Service Davenport page to get their side. It's going to be a little less strong just because of where they are placed. New storm development ahead of that cold front. Potential for higher end severe storms, again, east of the Mississippi, where we have been tracking. Damaging winds within the Davenport area. Tornadoes a couple strong. Same thing as Chicago, except it's more out west. That will hit Davenport between 1 and 6. according to them, and then go further east 3 to 7. This is outdated, this portion. This one is a little outdated, but we can still cover it. Round 1, that's what's moved through. Round 2, 1 to 7, tornadic multi-cell clusters, all very concerning. Severe weather can escalate quickly. The reason I do briefings is to brief everybody on the storms before they arrive and give you just a little more time to prepare, because every minute counts when you're preparing for severe storms. National Weather Service, Milwaukee, it's only the southern portions. We'll still cover it. And it's out of date. But we can see they hit Lake Geneva between 6 and 9 p.m. Again, storm safety, multiple ways to receive warnings. All that has been discussed yesterday as well. I don't know if the National Weather Service Chicago added to here. We do have our nowhere to go, of course. Top floor rooms are the absolute worst. Do not go upstairs. If you have no basement, move into that interior room with no windows. Preferably a bathroom if it's an interior room. That would be best. Some people don't have bathrooms on the interior though. So just an interior room. Basements are the best, especially interior rooms in the basement. Those are the absolute best for tornadoes. Again, I do want to urge everybody who has just joined, please cancel all outdoor events. This is a rarer storm system. Of course, as we discussed, if you have been here, nobody's going to take moderate seriously if it doesn't do what it has. So, but I would still cancel it. It's a relatively rarer risk here in the area, especially for Chicago. We have not seen a moderate directly for the city of Chicago since July 15th of 24. That was a derecho, damaging winds. Again, with destructive winds, this also applies our nowhere to go, because destructive winds are basically tornadic winds. They're not rotating, but they're as fast as some tornado winds. So just be aware of that. Looking at the SPC mesoanalysis, currently, as you can see, there is no instability. That's what's being left by these storms. You can see there's some near Princeton, but if we go into our supercell composite, we can see that in 6 hours, as they start to arrive, a number of 28. That is concerning. I don't think I have ever seen that. Significant tornado parameter, again, very high. Violent tornadoes possible. The shear is up there. We don't really need strong shear at this point. Current observations, it's 73 at Chicago. It's going to get warmer though. Hail's up there. Violent tornado parameter, that's probably going to move up north. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a particularly dangerous situation. Everybody who has outdoor plans, please consider canceling them. Doesn't matter what those outdoor plans are. If you're an organizer, I did just hear from a viewer that you could be held liable if you're an event organizer, so just take the time to cancel it. It's going to be a lot better. Good thing you got a new air conditioner. Yep, and it was hot yesterday, really hot. But that will eventually cool off. You'll see that in the next video, depending on when that happens. Stretching potential is a little, it's not there yet, but that's for tornadoes later. So the discrete cells do cause, this is Rufus, I want HRRR. Oh, we do have an update from HRRR. It has finally reached long enough to know that it'll hit Chicago between 6 and 7, as we discussed. Tornado up there. And then as it moves through, it's all gone. It takes everything with it, as expected. Princeton, you might get hit around 4. Let's see if that's going to be severe, or if that's going to happen later with the other line of storms. Yep, that could be severe, Princeton. High numbers. And then with this round moving in around 6 for Princeton, also high numbers, so there could be double tornado threat with them. It's definitely going to be a PDS watch. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing, because I will definitely post a video when and if a tornado watch goes out. This is a particularly dangerous situation that will be unfolding tonight. Again, sheltering guidelines. If you're in a mobile home, get out. If you're in a car, it's the worst place. Get out and find a ditch. Don't ever go underneath a highway overpass. Bad options are open rooms like gymnasiums if you are at an event. Manufactured housing, those usually aren't very secure. Good options, interior room of a well-constructed home or building. Basement. I have a basement. That's where I'm recording. The best option is, of course, your tornado shelters. But we don't get tornadoes here often enough. We get them a lot. They're usually weak, though, and they're not often when we get strong ones like what we're expecting today to end up needing a storm shelter. If you have one, use it. I actually wanted to go back, highlight where I think there is a chance if they issue a high risk. They probably will not, but if they do, I would expect that high risk to be located. That was too far. I'd expect that high risk, if it ever did go out, which it probably won't, I'd expect that in the new pink area. Definitely a very concerning situation that we're going to be looking at tonight. I'm sure several areas will begin to see power outages once those storms move through. I'm sure we're going to hear of probability of EF0. It's not loading perfectly yet, so I will continue to post short updates, but they're up there. They're going to start going up soon. Left moving supercell, there's a chance of those counterclockwise ones. Not likely, though. Derecho composite is a little bit up there, so I don't think it's going to be a derecho, but it's definitely possible. MCS maintenance, that's what we really want to look out for. Those numbers are definitely confirming that our MCS will maintain. Looking at our... Where is it? Do I not? Oh, national forecast charts. Looking at timing of those frontal boundaries. That warm front we have confirmed has already went a little bit up north into southern Wisconsin. And it looks like it will end up being overtaken by that cold front as storms move through. Still going to be decently warm tomorrow. I believe in the upper 70s. So not as warm as we've been expecting, but definitely warm. I would also like to go into the severe weather preparedness. They've got other great stuff. Storm planning timeline. This is what I wanted to show. Wherever I put that. This is the day of at this point. I discussed it yesterday that you should adjust plans. Make sure you receive weather alerts and ensure your shelter is clean and accessible. You can still do that today. It is definitely still possible for you to do that today. Remain vigilant of any warnings. Now today, active watches. Warnings go out moments notice. And with this kind of atmosphere, it probably won't take long for something to happen. Remind your family of the communication plan. Know where to evacuate and or to go. Safety. And then when a warning is issued, you may only have seconds to take action. In this case, due to the high risk of tornadoes, I would also recommend that you know where your important documents are. You keep them. I put this in a video a while ago for a go bag. Generally, the recommendation is you put them in a fireproof, waterproof safe, and you take that with you in the event of a warning. Any important documents, birth certificate, social security number, passport, anything like that, mortgage, title deeds, anything like that is recommended that you know where you have them, because those are very difficult to replace. Go bags also, involve first aid kits, radios. I have my NOAA weather radio prepared. If you don't have that lockbox, it might be too late. unless you have really great Amazon service, you're probably not going to receive that in time, but just know where you should place them in the event that something does happen. Alert wise, know the difference between our tornado watch and warning. Tornado watch means a tornado is possible, be prepared. Warning means taking action. This is something that I really want to show, because this is probably going to be seen on a couple different warnings and even the watch. This is a particularly dangerous situation. That wording is used for tornado watches in rare situations when long-lived intense tornadoes are likely, as in possibly today. They are also used in tornado warnings for both the PDS, particularly dangerous situation, tornado warnings, and tornado emergencies. I will explain the difference in just a few minutes. Again, review your safety procedure. Know the best place. Please cancel all outdoor events. I'm going to repeat this a couple times. It's not worth anything. It's not worth being liable if you're the manager. It's not worth you going out if you're going out. Consider staying home, because there is definitely a high risk for something happening. Remember your outdoor warning sirens. This is the last thing I like to tell people. They are not designed to be heard inside. I can hear them inside because I have one of the Cold War era sirens a block away from me. So that's why I can hear them. But not everybody will be able to hear them from inside. They're also activated by city or county. So if they don't go off when a tornado warning is issued, do not wait for the local sirens. I know people who do that. It's a very stupid thing to do. Do not wait for the local sirens. Overall, that's generally all of it, aside from, we've seen your tornado stuff, basement. We've seen that. Not really nighttime tornadoes. If you are an employer, this is another very important thing. Of course, you could always comment questions. It's still open. If you are an employer, identify shelter locations, have ways to receive warnings, store emergency kits, train staff. It is still possible to do that today. I've just received an alert. We're going to check that out in a couple minutes when it pops up. It is a mesoscale discussion. I think it is concerning a tornado watch, the one that's west of us. I just don't have access to it right now. Actually, Weatherfront might show it. It'll pop up on here in a minute. That new mesoscale discussion discussing, I think it's going to be here. Is this tornado watch? This is tornado watch 311, correct? 311. Yes, this is Tornado Watch 311. They've just issued a mesoscale discussion. I think it's talking about these storms in the background, though. I think they're still going to upgrade, though. Extend into Chicago in a little while. These storms, again, the ones that are moving through right now likely will not be severe storms. Again, always open to questions. I set this up in a way so that the latency is a little better, so that I can receive messages and respond to them a little quicker due to the delay. Through weather hazards. Wind and hail. Safe place from extreme wind, preferably a basement. As long as you're inside, though, and away from windows, that's fine. Lightning safety. You've still got our forecast tools. Again, moderate risk. The risk we are under. Widespread severe storms likely, long-lived, widespread, and intense. There's a small chance that they may upgrade that to a high risk. If they do, I will update you all through shorts. Those mean long-lived and very widespread, particularly intense. Either way, they basically mean very similar things. If you do have a report for Chicago, you can do that. Facebook is facebook.com/NWS Chicago. X is NWS Chicago. Davenport, I think, is similar. I don't remember exactly. Remember that this is likely going to be a particularly dangerous situation. I will continue to repeat this. You need to cancel all outdoor events. It is not safe to continue any outdoor events. Cancel them, or if it's like a family party, you might be able to move it inside if it's at your house. Here's where our mesoscale discussion is. The severe threat continues. Notably, sensors continue to show increasing values of, I believe that is rainfall, as surface temperatures continue. You can see on here, that is the outflow. That's what's leaving us. That's what's going to make these storms intense. The MCS will stall, retreat later this afternoon. Shear is going to become increasingly favorable for severe weather. Tornadoes likely, tornado watch likely. That is all for this live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will take any last minute questions. If not, I will end this stream. Again, if you have just joined us, you could always rewatch this. I encourage you to rewatch this if you just joined or joined in later in. Again, if you have any last minute questions, you may ask them now. Yes, make sure your phone is charged. You can receive wireless emergency alerts if you have a NOAA weather radio. I made an entire short about a year ago on how to set that up. I have the WR120, very great. But yes, ensure your phone is charged, because that, if we go by how the risk is and what the severe weather maps are showing, you're gonna need it. Power will likely go out. If you have power banks, charge them. I have charged my power banks. I will be charging my phone in a little while. Get that ready. Again, I believe if you have an Apple Watch and your phone is on, and you don't have your phone on you though, it's a little farther away, you can still get the alerts. There are no more last minute questions. I will end this stream here. All right, it looks like there are no more last minute questions. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream. Share this to anybody, because it's still valuable information until the storms arrive. When and if, it's not really if, it's when a tornado watch is issued, I will post a short, so make sure you are subscribed to receive updates on this particularly dangerous situation. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you in the next short and the next video, likely this weekend.